energy costs of that very poor country by 25 to 40%. So wind in St. Kitts, we funded a run-of-the-river hydro facility in Georgia, the country of Georgia, which is going to be exporting to Turkey. I'll come to that. Solar in India, in Peru, in Thailand, all over the place. And then a biomass project in Liberia. This is a fascinating one, which you may have heard of too, where our project is taking end-of-life rubber trees that are dead, lying down, and impeding the planting of new rubber trees. It takes those things, takes them away, chops them up, makes them into biofuel, and sends the biofuel to Europe for use in electric power facilities. In so doing, it's creating 700, well, I think it's 700 jobs in Liberia. It's enabling these people to get rid of the trees and plant new ones. So it's creating a sustainable rubber industry that's going to produce more and more renewable biomass. Now, of course, the irony that Liberia itself doesn't have any domestic electricity, and these wood chips are being sent to Europe, is not lost on us. So we are working now on helping to develop an actual power plant in Liberia that will be using this fuel so that can be used domestically as well as internationally. So the demand is there, the potentially strong returns are there, but the markets are often held back by lack of financing, by perceptions of risk, and by very uncertain regulatory environments, among many other things. And our role, as we said earlier, is to make that investment happen by addressing those needs and risks through three products: financing products, support for private equity funds, and insurance. So what I'd like to do is just tell you a little bit about those hindrances and then how we're addressing them. And then I will close there after that. So first, financing. We find that companies investing in this space in emerging markets have three main hindrances here. One, there's no international lending institutions in most of the countries that we're operating in at all. And if there are any, they're only looking at the largest and strongest deals from the most mature companies. Second, when there is finance, it's usually very short term. The yield curves in these countries does not go out oftentimes beyond 1 or 2 years. So, when you have a 20-year power purchase agreement, or you have a heavy upfront capital investment that needs to be amortized over a long time, that's very difficult. We will do 20-year financing, which is actually longer than almost any other development finance institution. And frankly, we don't find the performance of our 20-year deals any less than our shorter-term ones. Third, loans to small enterprises. Like most clean tech companies that might be starting up, these are deemed way too risky for local financiers. And even though we're bankers too, and we want to make sure that our borrowers have a successful track record in business and have a commercially proven technology, we're not at all scared of small businesses and early stage entrepreneurs. In fact, last year, 78% of our business was with U.S. small companies. Those are companies with 500 employees or less. So both the size, the tenor, the lack of financing, lack of long tenors, and lack of appetite for small business are serious constraints. And we're addressing those constraints. Our teams, if you are ever looking for financing, will find they are they're sophisticated, they're both optimistic and realistic, and they're accustomed to designing very accommodating financial structures that are necessary for investors in these frontier markets. So that's the financing product. Then the private equity is the next one. Certainly private equity investors are oftentimes the first movers in these emerging markets, and of course they've been the single largest source of funds in the clean tech and renewable energy space. Over the years, we've provided, I think, $4.5 billion of support to help create private equity investors in emerging markets. And in fact, just last year, we approved $500 million for 5 renewable energy companies for setting up renewable energy private equity funds. And that's a big business that we can talk about later if you'd like. And third and last is risk mitigation, insurance. Now, OPIC's sort of flagship product since the early 70s was political risk insurance, where we would promise to cover for an investor any risks associated with expropriation or inconvertibility of the currency, meaning you can't dividend back your revenues, or any kind of political strife or civil violence. Those were the classic 3 that we would cover. And in fact, it was great because it enabled investors to focus just on the commercial risk and forget about all the country risks that might be concerning to them. What we've been trying to do is look at how we can adopt these products specifically to target things that are holding back investment in renewable energy in emerging markets. So, for example, feed-in tariffs have become a very popular tool that governments are using to catalyze investments into their renewable energy sectors. And in theory, feed-in tariffs provide a guarantee of payment